Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the weekly Old School Q&A. You'll notice that we have a large amount of people from the team, but that's because we need to talk to you all about RuneFest a little bit. Well, ModSween is, but we're actually doing a bit of recording for RuneFest as well. The little countdown that we do at the start, and we're going to do that live. So we're going to slightly turn down the mic before we start, and then we're going to record on our producer's cue. Whenever you're ready, mate. 3, 2, 1. 3! 3! Is that good? Thanks. Thanks a lot, guys. And that's the end of the stream. No, I'm kidding. You guys may disappear and you can do work, absolutely. Sorry.
Type 70.
Love yous.
If we say it,
Get rid of the T.
Are our mics back up?
Just get rid of the TH.
Awesome. That was for, of course,
We all shouted re.
Yeah, that was for the countdown. Of course, we have the number 3 because it reminds us most of our community online on social media platforms. ModSween has a lot of important things to talk about, though.
Yeah, let me.
For RuneFest,
It's got a little
awesome.
script as well. This is professional.
Yeah, I know. He's got a little script written
Just
down.
to remind me, I went through it in my head and I
Is
forgot
it's
everything.
Rusty hasn't been on the
he's
couch for a
prompt.
while, have you, Sween? Now
No,
that you've
I've
left
forgotten how to do it.
Yeah.
So RuneFest is 10 days away. The Saturday after next, 6th of October. You'll notice that there's an exclamation mark RuneFest command.
Ooh.
Use that, you'll get quite a lot of info. It's just some really quick stuff to share. We're broadcasting from the Jagex channel. Our friends at Twitch gave us the channel, or somebody else had taken the name, didn't do anything with it, so we've appropriated it. We're doing this because it reflects the fact that we're broadcasting both RuneScape free and old school content. Also in the command, you'll see an event reminder. That's the osrs.game/RuneFest18 event. Set an event reminder, you'll know when we go live. I think we're going live at 10:30 a.m. UK time, so you might be up just overnight grinding if you're based in the States. Well, that's there to watch. It'll link to the news post as well. That contains the schedule, just the main stage and live stream content, but also it's a huge venue, lots of side rooms, panels, etc., which will be streaming, but not necessarily from Twitch. So check the other social media channels, which are mentioned in the news post. I think that's pretty much it, other than the hashtags to use are hashtag RuneFest 2018 and hashtag OSRSReveals. We know how excited you get when we unveil the big content, and we want to engage in discussion with you right away. So as we're talking live on stage, unveiling the big content highlights for next year, I'll be answering your questions on social media.
Right, that's a lot of information, a lot of news. One thing that we did release earlier this week, which we have a picture of as well, is actually the schedule for RuneFest, so we can quickly pop that open, go through that. So, of course, opening ceremony at 11:15. The live stream, I believe, starts at 11:30, so it'll be a little countdown there. The cos around that time, give or take. Mod John didn't seem as confident when I said that number, but around that time.
It did yesterday, it doesn't say.
Okay, excellent. The cosplay parade at 12. At 1 o'clock, we have the Creator Game Show, which is going to be a ton of fun. We have a couple of influencers doing a Q&A. I don't know who's hosting that, but that's going to be pretty good. We did that on the second stage last year, and that was pretty fun. So that'll be awesome. You guys can join in.
Hosting it,
Who's hosting?
It might be a content creator.
Okay, well, I won't say then. Okay, sorry. Quest and Law at 2, 2018 Golden Gnome Awards. That's been fun. You guys have been voting on that, of course, using the app as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're good?
Yeah, we've quite a lot, the most votes we've ever had actually this year round.
The app helps, I think. Definitely. I'm looking forward to seeing who wins this year in all the categories. We have quite a few categories this year, don't we?
Yeah, I got to say that this year has been the closest to the community's nominations that I think a Golden Gnome has ever been before. I'm saying that because I've only ever dealt with one, and that was last year's. So, we've got a lot of variety in there. There's a lot of people that you'd expect to be there, but also some people I think you weren't really expecting. But they've got some really strong and passionate communities that have been supporting them and backing them. So I'm really looking forward to getting those winners announced. So.
Solid stuff. At 4 o'clock, we have OSRS. The first 5 years, it's going to be a wonderful. You won't want to miss out. Let's say that. It's going to be a fantastic recap of the first 5 years of Old School. At 5 o'clock, we have the RuneScape Winter Reveals. And then at 6 o'clock, ending off the show, we're going to be doing our reveals, the Old School reveals. You're going to be joined with, I believe, Mod Kieran, Mod West, Mod. Is Aiza still doing it?
I am.
Yes, he is.
Mod Ed.
And Mod Ed, that's the one. So yeah, another Mod Ed presentation. PogChamp. Everyone's looking forward to that, I'm sure. Those times are in probably BST. Are we still in BST?
Yeah, we are.
Until like mid-October.
Okay, yes, they are BST times, I believe. So GMT +1. Looking forward to that. Have you got anything else to add?
That's it. I'll head off then, shall I?
Oh, you can stay if you want. You're mic'd up now.
No, I've got to go through Help West with the reveal.
Oh, here we go.
Stuff to iron out.
All right. You
How
know,
many other excuses have you got? West has gone home.
he's too cool now. He doesn't care anymore. He's all on the hip social team.
But you like a symmetrical couch, and that'll leave 2 on each side.
I do actually, and then we can get the camera sorted out. So thank you very much, Modsween. Thank you. Take care.
I miss you already.
I wish I had a man that looked at me the same way that Modsween looks at Mod Aiza. That'd be fantastic.
Wow.
I can't.
So
One can dream, I guess.
suggestions and also this week's update, tomorrow's update. Going to go through those, but before I do, I'm going to quickly just address stuff being spammed in the chat. Of course, if you did read the news post, keep in mind that we can't talk about several things because of processes currently going on. So there we go.
Yeah.
That's all we're going to say on that matter.
I'll say one more thing. I'll treat them.
Go on.
I'm currently working on putting together a very brief update in terms of some recent things that have been posted on social. So like Reddit and Twitter, there have been some concerns. I have a draft of that ready, but it's been put through the processes of being approved to make sure that it's okay to be public facing and that I'm not going to lose my job and that someone's not going to go to jail. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be ready for tonight. It might be ready by tomorrow. So now that thread is very likely going to have been lost down on the front page, I'll just post it on a dedicated thread and just say, you know, it will be titled something like an update in relation to recent events, and that will have as much as we're able to share with you in there. And you're just going to have to wait for that, unfortunately. Until then, can't say anything else.
Yeah, please do appreciate legal things that are going on.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. But yeah, let's talk about tomorrow's update. We have a really big update tomorrow. We didn't realise how big it was until I think Mod Gambit was doing the what's it called?
news
The news post. That's what it's called. And I think it was into like 7:30, like 8:30 last night.
There was well after 8 o'clock when I saw that timestamp on his email.
So that was pretty awesome. But I actually have quite a few pictures for tomorrow's update. I thought we'd go through them before they go out. So a little sneak peek for those watching the stream. Can we have those up, Mod John? Let's take them one by one. So firstly, the ability to decount 1, 2, and 3 doses at Bob Barter, and is it Zuhra? Zaha, which is quite funny because
I keep saying Zuhar every single time I read it, and then I'm just thinking Neve or Sandwich Lady.
So yes, you guys have been asking that a long time. That was a great. I just decided to ignore the Sandwich Lady thing. You've been asking for that for a long time, and Maz did that last week. We finally got around to it. It's been in the backlog for a while, but see, it does happen. I think that was like job 1,500, and I think we're on like 9,000 right now. So that's an old one that you guys have been asking for. Finally glad to get that out.
Nice little snippet of information added in about decanting as well that's came from Maz herself. So make sure you give that a read when you check out the news post. It gives you a bit of insight into what went into it.
People love those little snippets now, don't they? We're going to start doing more of those. Worth keeping in mind as well, if you need additional vials, like a decanting from 4 to 1s, it costs either 5 GP or the GE cost plus 2, based on which is highest, so it'll probably be 5 GP right now. Let's have the next picture, please, Mod John. Another update tomorrow. We are adding on the desktop the withdraw X quantity, similar to on mobile. That's coming to PC. Next one, please, Mod John. Right-click options in the deposit box. So some things have options.
Game changer.
Yeah, absolutely. Some things have options in the bank, and they didn't work on the deposit box. I believe you have to do quite a bit of tinkering for that one, Ash, did you?
No, this bit's easy.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Oh, there we go.
It was the one about rune crafting that took a bit of tinkering.
I don't know if did I send that one to you? I hope I did, but yes.
In the news post.
Can you press next, John?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. So you can now also fill your pouches, providing the bank interface is open, and providing you also have essence inside of your inventory, without closing the bank interface now, and that will swap between fill and empty.
It just does exactly what the thing would do if you clicked it in your inventory.
Yes.
Except you don't have to shut the bank to be able to do that.
Absolutely.
Saves so many runes at ZMI now, or Arani Altar.
Oh no, Fire Rune's going to crash.
I use air runes, but
You use theirs?
Yeah.
Are they cheaper now?
I don't know, I just buy them.
Okay.
For what it's worth, the reason this involved so much rearranging is that previously, if we wanted to add another option to an item, we got a lookup table of items and the extra option they had. And that was all we could do in the engine at the time when we first got these extra options, like we're talking 2014, 15. But moving further forward, it was getting inconvenient because if anyone wanted to add one, they'd have to find this one lookup table. And that's not ideal because you can very easily forget to update a single central lookup table. So what I did for this was to move them to being parameters on the item, so it's part of the item definition rather than being centralised elsewhere.
Oh, I like the sound
this
of
means
that.
we've got a better chance of remembering to update it when we need to.
That sounds.
Something that gets
that-
QA.
Yeah, that sounds a lot like QA can start doing dev work.
Well, given that when we moved the operate things on worn items to being parameters on the items, we very much outsourced it to a QA tester to do the dev work
Yes.
because none of us were available. I thought I'd do this one for us, though.
Oh, I miss you, Tom.
It's not very exciting to people, but the code maintenance hopefully helps us with future updates, so a small cost here will hopefully be a saving down the line.
Indeed.
Well, I just want to quickly shoehorn in a question I saw in the chat whilst we have this image open. People have been asking, does the fill option work with shift being held down like
No.
it does outside of the bank?
It currently does not.
It has nothing to do with that in this update.
Yes.
There we go.
All we've got here is that if you could have filled it by clicking on it in your inventory, you can now access that option while the bank's open. And if the pouch has some essence in it, that little fill option will become an empty option and do that instead.
Useful. Just to remind the chat at Old School RS, if you have any questions, Modmaz will be picking those out, and we're going to jump to the next picture for tomorrow's update. I told you it was a big one. We have implemented, I don't want to get the name of this interface wrong.
Account management.
The account management interface.
It's a pretty easy one here.
But I just want to get it wrong. You know what I mean? It's not at the top that has been added in game. So of course you've got a much better way to get a quick link to our customer support stuff and your name changer. We've just centralised everything. Your ignore list still exists in the friends list, and yeah, Pastor Paul, it was already existing in mobile, and clearly you guys wanted.
Did you take that screenshot or did Mod Bruno?
That was mod. I don't
If
know.
it's called Zook Slayer, but something tells me it's Bruno.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't
I
me.
think it's Bruno. So people are saying
47.
about the ignore list. It's detailed in the news post, so check that out tomorrow. But essentially, when you click on the friends icon or the ignore icon, depending on what you've got selected, there's a little icon in the top right-hand corner that will either be a sad face or a happy face, and that lets you swap between friends or ignore list.
It's just like what the quest list already has. You know, at the top you can see that blue star for the quest list, and when you're on that, it's got little buttons at the top for switching to the diaries and to the current favour and to the minigame grouping thing. We've just done the same to the friends and ignore lists rather than them each having a side stone.
I think I know what the. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, it reminds me of the issue we had when it went into mobile, is that we accidentally put the sad face from the ignore list as your logout button instead during development. So when it wanted to log out, you had to actually click the unhappy face.
I was this morning. I
Works
didn't
for me.
have my tea until about 11, and I come in at 10, and I was testing something, and I was like, Ed, oh, you can't log out anymore. You broke it. In testing, we have a tool that stops us from logging out for long periods of time. I had it, and you can't log out.
Got you set stop log.
So I'm on the mobile, and I was like, I can't log out, Ed. Ed, you've broken it. And I was like, well, that's one way to keep the players logged in. But yeah, it was just me being an idiot. That's what happens when I don't have my tea in the morning. But I know what the next picture is, I believe, so we can switch to that, John. This is going to get the chat excited. Oh, look at that. Well, do you want to talk about that, Mod Ghost?
Yeah, sure. There's a superior version of Smoke Devils. So someone tweeted me on Twitter and they'd recolored it red instead of green, which I thought was a great idea if they wanted to update that thermonuclear Smoke Devil that you see there, but it didn't really fit in with the existing Smoke Devils around it or the environment. So I just gave it a quick recolor and made it yellow, and that's the finished result.
Don't undersell yourself. That looks bloody brilliant.
Thank you.
Yeah, so for a recolor, it's impressive.
As I say, we've been waiting to release it for about 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
I thought it only passed QA.
We didn't have the development done, but then when we got development time last week, I remember I sent it back to Kieran actually, because we've also added a transmog option. So if you so desire, you may also have your pet look how it currently does as well. So you can swap between the old and the new look, keep everyone happy.
Technically, they're not old and new looks. It's best to underline that. It's actually the boss or a minion.
Yes. Okay, there we go. That's
Clever.
And then actually, I think the next picture is also going to get the chat excited as well, if we can swap mod, John. Look at that! It's finally happening, boys. The bucket packs are in. Please stop spamming the questions. We've got it. They're coming. They're here. Iron Men rejoice.
And they cost 750k each.
No, they don't. They're quite cheap. There's about 15 in every shop. I think the Recipe for Disaster shop has up to 50 based on scaling, like they all do.
But you made them restock fast, yes?
Yes, of course. They restock very quickly.
They exist in all general stores and farming stores, with the exception of the seed stalls in. With the exception of seed stores, actually, because they purely only sell the seeds and not the farming stores.
They exist in any form where buckets exist in any shop as well, so it actually extends a little beyond there, but generally.
I was impressed you'd gone all the way to the Polnivnich market stall.
I was quite happy with that.
People, it's one of the more obscure shops, but he's been there and he's put packs of buckets in.
There was, fun fact, 72-ish shops that had buckets, and farming shops, this is the odd one, you know farming shops didn't have empty buckets in them. Mm-hmm. So I added empty buckets as well as empty bucket packs, just to make it. So there we go. Is that bad? That's not bad, right?
I think they might forgive you.
I think the chat will agree with that.
I'd hope so. If it's not fine, then yeah.
Well, we might have, devalued buckets.
Oh, that's true. Those really valuable items. Right. Anyway, I think is there one more picture?
2.
Oh, 2. Okay. Oh, go.
Wow.
Oh.
So
Big
many.
update.
Do let us. Oh, yes. So this is how the interface currently looks. Our generic scroll interface when you open it, and we have more than a couple of options with multi-choice. But as of tomorrow's update, mobile will now look, Mod John, if you can switch picture, like that. So you have a little bit more room. Help you avoid accidental clicking. So mobile users will be very happy to see that. Of course, mobile is still coming out
October 30th.
I didn't know if they knew the date on it. October 30th, so look forward to that. We are still making improvements to mobile for people who currently have access to it, and also for you guys on October 30th.
So the extended gap also is for P-choice options in dialogue with NPCs. Mm-hmm. We've also added it into the music selection menu as well. Mm-hmm. And I think there are 1 or 2 other menus.
Switcher.
And the world switcher, yes.
The world switcher.
That's a rather useful one, I'm thinking.
Also, the world switcher will now highlight your current world in green.
Yes.
Rather than just greying it out like every other world that you can't access.
And that's on both desktop and PC.
Yes, correct.
But the extra spacing obviously only being on mobile, but brilliant. I think that's a ton of fun.
If you do find more things like that for mobile, obviously you can tweet it like myself, Lenny and Ed, who are working on mobile right now, submit bugs in game and they'll go through to the mobile team, etc.
It's a kind of ongoing thing. Like, yeah. I mean, full well you've got quite a few other interfaces that are due for a little bit of love for mobile.
Did I say desktop and PC? I meant desktop and mobile, sorry.
Well, those of us who have our PCs on the floor.
Yeah, that's true. It's a floor top. Finally, I'm going to put up a suggestion that was put up on our question thread, which is, if you can pop that up please, Mod John, multiple single sign-on allowance. So you have multiple accounts saved in a single sign-on. And I do actually have confirmation from the mobile team that that is one of the first jobs they're looking into doing after release. So excellent. Look forward to that.
Wow.
Did it say anything about desktop getting it?
I believe that is also one of the along with this, one of the first updates that they're going to be looking into doing for.
Yeah, I think Tyron commented on the Reddit thread actually that was posted up saying that it's one thing is on his list of actions for desktop enhancements. Tyron? I think it was Tyron.
Tyron works for us. Titan left a long time ago.
No, there is a Titan now.
Oh, is there another Titan?
In RuneScape.
Yeah, it was definitely Tyron.
Spelled differently.
Oh, it's Atlas. Sorry, he changes his name so much.
Mod Atlas.
There's another one, isn't it?
Someone from Dragex commented on the thread saying yeah.
And that's everything. There we go.
How many people called Titan do we get through?
Yeah, I know, right? Do let me know in the chat or after the stream by tweeting or something if you like us showing a couple of the updates coming out tomorrow. We don't usually do that. We usually just briefly catch over them, but we thought we had quite a few this week, so let's go over them. Let us know if you want us to do that when we've got bigger updates.
It's been interesting, especially with the number of things that we've polled that are yet to come. It's good to see which ones are coming.
Well, we normally do talk about them, but we just normally just say them if they've got visuals as well.
In terms of the other things, Maz has made a jolly good start on the POH Nexus with graphics, I think, from you.
Oh, we were like 5 minutes.
Sorry, was that a surprise?
No. Just before the stream, we were going to try and get the GIF from the internal system so that we could show them what it looks like, because it looks brilliant, but we're going to show them that next week.
Yeah, so I think me and my Ghost sat down. Was it Monday?
Yeah.
Monday morning we sat down, the two of us, and went, Ghost just asked me, what do you want from this Nexus? And I explained what my idea was. And then we tweaked it a little bit to suit more of the things we can do, and it's probably one of the best looking things in game.
I didn't even think our engine could handle it. I don't know how it's not like
it's
clipping or rendering oddly.
I don't know either. It's weird, isn't it?
But like,
Strange how things work.
I'm looking forward to seeing this now.
it's really good. Look forward to that next week.
Yeah, we'll show that next week.
That's everything. Right. Questions. Let's move on to questions. Sorry that we're 20 minutes in, but they seem to enjoy that section.
Yeah, I enjoyed that section.
Okay,
It's changing their computer game. They might have an interest.
So, first question from Mirror. What is something the players always report as a bug, but isn't actually a bug?
RNG.
People following you through fairy rooms.
Yes, I'm going to go upstairs. I'm going to find more bug reports about it more than likely.
Especially now.
Yeah, the Demonheim Butler, as it goes through the fairy ring and follows you out, that's
meant to happen.
Supposed to happen.
Please stop telling us. We know. We know.
Certain fairy rings have a 1 in 6 chance of spawning an NPC to pretend it's followed you through the portal. Jackals, monkeys, abyssal science of some sort, chinchompers. I think a penguin can.
Yeah.
There's a 1 in 6 chance for the selected fairy rings to spawn something from the area you've come from to pretend it's followed you. And when we added fairy rings to a POH, I took the time and trouble to add a 1 in 6 chance of the butler apparently following you through as well, which, well, it's a little gratuitous, but given all the other work we'd put into that POH update, we went there.
Any more? There's quite a
I'm
few.
trying to think of ones that we regularly get. There are obviously some issues that we get through that we can't actually fix. The one that springs to mind is when you're scrying through a house portal.
Oh, and sometimes
because you're not technically in the house anymore, sometimes you unfortunately lose the instance of the house and get booted out.
Yeah, there's nothing technical about it. You're genuinely not in the house. You've been teleported to be put in a tree in Canifis or whatever, or in a bit of the Grand Exchange wall. We put you there.
Yeah. Or a bone in the
Anakal area.
Anakal, yeah.
If you can think of any more throughout the rest of the stream, just...
Well, I think some graphical ones, but
Go on.
Generally they are bugs, and there's just nothing we can do about it. Sorry about that.
Aww.
But keep reporting them because they are handy, even if they're not if they're not necessarily a bug, or we know that. Obviously, you guys don't know that, so reporting them is always handy because if it's not an issue, we just go.
I think the one that springs to mind is the armadillo legs, where we can never adjust the model. They will always forever clip with shoes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's Calphite Queen.
Oh, no.
You went there.
That got 5,000 upvotes on Reddit. That gets tweeted not tweeted, but it's put on Reddit like once every 6 months, and it always blows up. And it's not funny. Like, I get it. The Calphite Queen's a bug. Like, it's not funny at all. Just stop tweeting.
So there's now going to be 6 posts on Reddit about it, all for those.
Yeah, but they'll be downvoted because there was one recently upvoted.
all of them.
Oh, you will.
I'll remove your bug report.
It was funny in 2004. We still good.
Yeah. I mean, the only upvoted Calphite Queen picture that will probably happen on Reddit is not is not a safe for work one, probably.
Really? He's got like 6 legs.
You'd never underestimate Zuha.
Never underestimate Zuha. Next question from Don't underestimate Zuha. Does Zora have an extremely rare chance of giving 3 item rolls instead of scales? A player recently had this happen to them, and he provided a picture, but I didn't get it. But that seemed really odd. I don't know how he got that without scales.
Code didn't look like that last time I saw it.
There should be scales and 2 items.
Photoshop.
And obviously the pet makes a 4th one.
I've not seen the code very recently, but I would be very surprised if one of them popped in and done that.
Yeah, could quite possibly be a Photoshop job. Someone to make it look like they've got something that's never happened before.
For what it's worth, I've had a few reports from people who said that they were minding their own business doing something else completely unrelated, and suddenly their client popped up a loop broadcast for something that they'd not been near in ages, and they were wondering what that was all about. And I don't think it's coming from our client.
No. One bug report we do get is the stranger from Desert Treasure appearing following a target that it's not supposed to.
You know, I think that is a bug, but it's funny, so I never set out to get rid of it again.
Yeah, it's a bug that's just really old and really bad.
I can see how that would be slightly annoying, obviously, in Dead Man.
What, there's a stranger following you around?
Actually, that is a very common one. Actually, you just reminded me, especially because you said
It's not a bug, it's a feature.
specifically, whenever you report bugs to us, please ensure that you check it on the official client, because more often than not, we had a particular case with the quest, Anakara's Lament.
Oh, that.
Anakara's Lament, where you attempt to climb over this NPC, and they couldn't because whatever client they were using was hiding the option, and we kept getting reports about it from certain people. Check out the main client first.
It's funny, there was a similar one where some critical NPCs in the Dragon Slayer 2 quest, I mean, they're meant to be bits of a furnace, but they're NPCs, so you can cast spells on them. And for whatever reason, people were using a client that chose not to show them at all, which gave them a bit of a problem for completing the quest. I hope that client's got that one sorted by now.
Well, I guess I'll jump to this question that I actually prepped Ben for because I knew it was a...
I didn't prep a response, I'm just going to wing it.
Oh, wing it. Okay, good. Get ready. From Tolvesta, this was the highest liked question I've ever had. And it was the ability to move prayers and spells around where you want didn't pass a poll twice, yet third-party clients still allow this behaviour. Are there any plans on stopping this or adding it to the game yourselves with another poll?
Okay, it's interesting. So the only thing that I can say in terms of like plans of stopping it is that there aren't any immediate plans to stop it right now. There are plans to work closely with third-party clients that are in the works, and that's literally all I can say. However, given the fact that they are available and we haven't stopped them from being able to be used yet, we can, if that's what you want. We can also look at polling it again. We could also look at doing it as a change that we just do. However, all of those decisions are going to be down to what you guys want. So you tell me what you want and I'll see what I can make happen. Pretty much that's all I can say.
It's a solid response. Anybody else have anything to add? Or
I think the first time we polled it, it was just rather a poorly worded question, and we put prayers and spellbooks in with the same one. Then we tried to separate it out. And
ironically, spellbooks having filters added very soon, for mobile in particular. And then
For mobile only?
Yes, for mobile.
Although we have said we are willing to do it for desktop also if players are willing to vote for it there.
Which I just found a bit odd because it's like, I thought filtering to an extent is kind of similar to that, but they very liked the idea of filtering from what I've seen.
Many do, although I do appreciate there's bits of the game it's going to affect in ways they won't all appreciate. But, well, we'll see. We'd like to get it stable on mobile first. We're not going to refuse to offer it for desktop users afterwards, but we're not going there straight away.
Can I expand on that just briefly? Because I think it's a good question in general. Like, what are each of your individuals' opinions on being able to reorder prayers officially?
I think a lot of it, obviously, when Rigor and Augury came out, you had the high-level prayers that are in different positions. So a lot of muscle memory needed to be changed. And I can see that if we add more prayers in the future for anything, again, that could change.
Yeah.
So being able to all reorganise it, I don't think will necessarily be. Obviously, you'd just reorganise the ones you use the most importantly and probably put them in the top left, so they're closer to the game space.
That's what I found particularly interesting. Like, we've done changes before that would mess up muscle memory just purely by accident, putting things in order. That's how it works.
Yeah.
And people weren't too upset about that. But I think the main argument I saw when we did poll this for prayers was, or they were mainly surrounding, it gives people, it's going to be way easier to do your prayers and your switches. But people almost argued in a way that was like, but it's unfair because, just because I've learned to do muscle memory, and it's like, but it's no advantage to them. You could also do that change and learn just like that as well. That's why I got confused with people's answers, but I don't know.
You don't have to change it to still keep the muscle memory you've already got. That's up to you.
Having heard the evidence, I think you should be able to reshuffle them.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I think so as well. Like, I get the whole muscle memory and that people have learnt that. And that there are also the counter argument as to, okay, if we change it around, you should, as part of you being a skilled player, learn how to adjust to that. But sometimes it's actually impossible to, or near on impossible to change. If you've played for so many years and have been so used to clicking in certain areas at certain points, you just can't get that out of your head.
That would do my nut too.
Yeah, it's similar with like keybinds. If you were to make like different shortcut binds for other games that you might play, whenever I do that, I just can't play until I go back to my original keybinds that I used when I was 13. Just because that's just what's stuck in my head. So I'd like to give people the flexibility and see it more as that, the ability to have them ordered in a way that's comfortable for you and that works. I don't think it provides anything really overpowered. You still have to know how to, get your switches in the right ticks. It's not going to make that any easier. You still have to time it right. If anything, it's probably harder because they're closer together, and you might use the mouse distance as a way to count that. I don't know, but
cool, nice discussion. Holy asks, with how dated the rare drop table is, has there ever been talk about reworking the items dropped or their quantities?
For what it's worth, Maz made a pretty darn big change to it not that long ago with some Ring of Wealth updates. Like previously, if you had your Ring of Wealth on and you rolled onto the rare drop table, there was still a pretty significant chance of you getting nothing. Because, I mean, the ring gave you a smaller chance of having nothing, so you had a higher chance of getting something. Might be a sapphire. But that was enhanced considerably in that update. So they've already had a pretty big buff. I mean, they're still not great, and a lot of the stuff on there you probably don't want that much. Sapphire. I wouldn't be sorry to rejig what's on there. The thing is, if we were introducing new rares, new unique, well, new stuff that's dropped only via it, then it would make sense to me. But I would be sorry to take existing rare drops that tend to be associated with a specific piece of content and spread them out all over the shop.
Oh yeah. One thing that I remember talking about this actually a long time ago, wasn't it a suggestion of potential of making it so that it's an additional drop as well, so it didn't feel like you were losing a roll on the table, so you get your regular roll plus a rare drop. We can also make it an additional drop.
Yeah, they're going to love the bit where I think the corp table has a fairly high chance of calling the rare thing 8 times in a row and doing nothing else.
Ooh.
It's nothing more fun than when you just get a bunch of gem drops from Corp.
Ton of junk, yeah.
Sapphire.
Cool, awesome. Shin asks, can we see the items on the ground highlighted with hover over text? So instead of having to right click to see, can you have items appear?
Love to, if the engine team's ever available to implement what we'd need to do it.
Knowing from, I think it was Deadman, we got something for players.
We did.
Not for objects.
Yeah, what they wrote for players is applicable only to, well, players rather than objects. And you're a person, not a thing. And also was only usable for the very limited situation of that. I think they had to limit it to quite a small list as well.
Only in 1v1s and only to the specific spectators. Don't work.
Yeah, I think if they tried to do it to all players at once, they might have had a bit of an overload go off.
Just out of curiosity, if you had that as a feature and you had a mechanic like there was a secret object in a room, you had to visually inspect the room and then find something to click on it, you'd surely have the option to turn that off for certain objects, so you can't just scan systematically across the screen to see it pop up.
We'd almost certainly make that be a piece of scenery masquerading as an object rather than using an object at all.
Okay.
Like we've done in rather a lot of places, like tinderbox spawns in Chambers of Xeric. Rather than trying to fake the behaviour of an item spawn, we just put down a piece of scenery that looks like a tinderbox and gave it a little fake red dot on the minimap, if I recall correctly.
It also made it a bit easier to let Iron Men pick it up as well.
This is true. That gets around the problem where Iron players have items dropped for them and we can't give it to them because we don't know whose it was anymore.
It's a fake tinderbox.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking
fake news.
TIL.
Yeah, I'm thinking more back to, because you were mentioning earlier about, for whatever reason, the dictator, and it reminded me of the interview and the scene where he goes like, fake. He goes into a grocery store. It's like fake grapefruit.
I really love the interview.
I have not seen it.
You've never seen the interview?
I'm afraid not.
It's brilliant. You should give it a watch. We'll watch it sometime. We'll have cheese.
I just completely derailed.
You did. You know, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I do love that.
Well, it's a fake tinderbox, and he talks about a fake grapefruit, and I just love his reaction to it.
I think we've endorsed a movie now.
Yeah, it's true. I love when he gets a puppy. He's like, a puppy. Oh. Anyway, next question from Spanky asks, can we have counters for demonic gorillas, shamans, metal dragons, etc. added to the player-owned house achievement log?
If we already have the counters in game, why not?
Cool. Highlight that one. Whoever's on the
Mod Gambit.
Mod Gambit is doing the highlighting today. Highlight that one, and we'll look into that. Sinley asks, you've spoke about workarounds in code before, like how you made the bloat run. What are some creative workarounds that happen behind the scenes, and which are your favourites?
The beard.
Oh, we spoke of the beard.
We talked about the beard a lot.
We spoke of the beard last week.
Or week before or something.
So I feel bad talking about that one. Have you got any more, Lou?
Well, in Swan Song, there's a cutscene where the wise old man moves in ways that NPCs can't. Like, he's facing a sea troll general, and suddenly he spins around the back of it and jumps in and back in within one tick, and then spins around the front of it again and kicks it again as he keeps swiveling. We can't make NPCs do that, so that's the player. We can make players do it. So the reason you're off screen throughout that entire cutscene is that I've turned you into the wise old man, and you're performing his entire part of the cutscene.
In fact, Ash is very well known for creating that method, and it's very well known in-house for doing cutscenes. But if you ever notice in any cutscene in-game where coincidentally the camera will slightly move away from the player, it's usually because you are that NPC. Most of the time, it's because you're the NPC.
It happens a lot. You know, I didn't use it once in the recent troll quest, making friends with my arm, but it's been a useful trick. My arm's Big Adventure uses it quite heavily. In the course of that cutscene, my arm fights Jagbakoba and knocks him backwards off the screen. Jagbakoba is the player. And then he attacks a Voodoo victim and knocks that one off the screen. That's the player as well. And I think there's a third thing that I think the player might be a jungle spider he knocks over as well. Certainly, there's 2 or 3 things in that cutscene where the player is standing in for the NPC, so that my arm can knock them around in ways that I couldn't have done with a real NPC.
RuneScape 3 had a hilarious bug come up when they created walkover rides, you know, they have different idle animations.
Oh god!
Was it the Calphite Queen?
It must have been any of these cutscenes.
No. It was whenever they have I got it, but I was ignoring it. When they have like an idle animation like this, and they're really joyful and stuff, because they still use the method of taking an NPC and making it the player will be in a serious cutscene about, you know, oh no, Guthix is dying, and he'll be going. The NPC is like really excited about it. Brilliant, I love it.
They had that problem with graphical improvement to some NPCs as well. We're not talking RS3 here, this must have been around 2011-ish. Anywho, the Gypsy in Varrock, they decided to graphically improve her and give her a custom idle anim, so that she wouldn't just be standing there, she'd be, you know, showing a bit of her personality, and on hip.
That sounds a bit...
I find it hard to describe, and I certainly can't do the action on stream. So anyway, she got a new idle anim plugged in, and this affected all versions of her, including in cutscenes. So, recipe for disaster. The Gypsy enters the room and sees the killer romancer in the middle of freezing everybody, and she walks in and pauses, says, "Sorry, I'm late," while doing her little pose, and then screams, and then goes back to do her little pose while the killer romancer says, "I remember you," and she starts casting a spell, and then goes back to do her little pose. I love this. It was ridiculous.
It's a great animation. Have you ever thought about wearing a mocap suit, Ash?
I don't think it would suit me, my mug.
Right, I got some good answers there. I'm surprised you didn't say my arm proj, but we'll talk about that another time, I think, because that was a good one.
That's fairly obvious, though, wasn't it?
I think that was really cool. So you know when you shoot an arrow, and you have a proj anim, like shoots. Again, because you can't make NPC run. Sure. When my arm runs away really quickly into the Tybor One-Eye village, he made a proj anim of him. So he's essentially flying across, but it looks, because he's on the ground, it looks brilliant.
Which we could actually use to replace, say, cannonballs one day, so that instead of a cannonball going across the screen from your cannon, we have my arm.
You could theoretically change it so that the proj anim used when you're firing a bow is my arm.
Yes. Or Christmas pudding at that time.
Change to any NPC.
It has to be a single mesh one model. That's why my arm is one of the very few trolls made as a single mesh, hat and all. Okay. I had to. It's kind of inconvenient actually. That's why he never takes his hat off at any point in the quest. Because I really would have liked to for when he got married, or give him another hat, or give Snowflake his hat. I only thought of it after I'd got all the graphics though, so I didn't want to go back and request a lot more.
Cool.
I'm thinking cannons and the stray dog in Varrock.
No! Next question from Surprise.
Ew.
Can Master Scroll books be traded for a teleport to Watson or a random clue scroll teleport? They're currently quite worthless and the price has crashed. I quite like this one, but I don't know which one in particular. What do you think?
I'd say use one as a teleport to Watson.
I quite like that quite a bit. I prefer the Watson one over a random clue scroll teleport.
So you can destroy an empty scroll book for.
Yep.
You guys like that?
Destroy the useless thing to make it do what you want it to do in the same kind of theme. I like it.
Maz, do you want to strop all that one? I'd be interested in seeing the chats. Can master scroll books be dismantled into a teleport scroll to Watson? Sounds about right. And we'll move on to the next question from Spock. Currently, completing the Fremenic Elite Diary is a disadvantage for Vorkath. Although you get the boots, it stops you from being able to be kicked off the island. Can we have another way to get off the island?
Didn't we say we were going to look at adding a little thing that you can click on inside the bank that would do the same thing as talking to the banker in a previous Q&A?
That was my preferred approach for it.
Highlight that one.
There we go. Now it's been highlighted, it won't be forgotten about.
There we go. Make sure he's not highlighting any of them. What are we paying him for?
It's because it's not me upstairs doing it properly this time.
Naughty. It's fine, don't worry. I will highlight them afterwards if not. Melee asks, server tick rates vary between worlds, making Brimhaven agility costs sometimes better XP on certain worlds than others, gaining an additional ticket an hour.
Wait, hold on, repeat that again, sorry?
So, server tick rates between worlds vary. Making it so things like the Brimhaven agility cost, like when the ticket arrow swaps around, it's different on different worlds. Can vary, you'll lose maybe a ticket an hour in some worlds, which is a 60th of the XP of the hour. It's, it's not trivial. Can this be looked into, or can at least more information be provided to players so they're aware of which world to use?
Interesting. I saw something about that once when I was reading through some tweets from Jebrim about the werewolf agility course and his theory crafting behind that actually, but never really thought of it as a problem. But I assume that's the case. I don't know what's possible, I just thought I'd give you that information.
Cool. Well, quickly, can master scroll books be dismantled into a telescroll to Watson? 79% yes, 21% no. We'll highlight that and look into that. Can you minimise that?
I want to see the cat master.
The cat master?
Yes, that's what it was offering, the cat master.
Fire eyes for the stray dog suggestions.
There isn't a no option, this is just
yes, definitely. There's a lot. I don't know. That's 100% rate. Never before have we had 100%.
Add on the straw.
Well, if you take the amount of votes,
can we have the chat open, please, Matt?
You've got a lot more no.
There you go. Fired.
Back to the tick rate.
Yes.
Can all worlds have the same tick cycle?
Begs the question why they don't. They certainly aim to, although I think if one of them's especially busy, it may get a little behind.
Yeah.
Mind you, players can probably find out for themselves very clearly which ones are the busy ones, because, well, there's a list I only have lots of players on. Certainly there's something else going on, then we'd be happy to have a look into it, but if it's that, then no, we wouldn't be able to.
That might be what causes the arrow issue underneath
swimming. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Darn this arrow. Moving on. Moving on from Matt.
We'll just look into it and figure out what's going on, and that's all we can do.
Fix it. That's a good shout. I really like OSRS asks, some of the paths on the ground in Zay are hard to see. The paths in the Essence Mine and the Blood Altar are particularly good examples of this. Can they be better defined?
I believe that we're working on an update to the Zaya map in general, just some general housekeeping and tidying up. So I can certainly raise them to Mod West, who's probably watching now anyway.
There you go, Mod West. Highlighted. Next question from Kayla asks, could we see an update to Castle Wars which allows arrows, runes and pots to be offered at the start, but they will provide no XP or minimum XP when used? Perhaps a shop for spare tickets or a different type of ticket to allow for buying these things before the game. And then he also mentioned, and please Bandos, Armadillo and Zaros Halos. It's just a complete separate thing they said.
I recall it being quite controversial whether everybody would have free unlimited runes for doing barraging with when they go in there. Perhaps what they're sort of talking about, the shop there, could be quite restrictive about this.
Yes. I believe, so I wasn't aware if they were talking about spare tickets in general, or if they were talking about a new type of ticket, how they did in RuneScape. I think they have gold and silver tickets, and the silvers are just throwaway for consumables that you get quite a few of so that you can buy them. So you still have a cost to buying runes to go in and stuff. But I'd be interested in seeing particularly the Castle Wars community's opinion on that, because there's quite a dedicated community.
Yeah, I
ones
think
I
it's gonna
care
impact
about
them.
that.
Yeah.
If we're doing some qual for Castle Wars, the magic
Give them a
beard
chat.
issue, to be able to take them to wear
Yeah.
helmets and stuff like that, so you can see things like full Daroks and that appear in Castle Wars.
There's an interesting one that came up recently. Long time ago, other RuneScape changed the way staircases are mapped in Castle Wars, so that you could block a staircase with one barricade
Oh yeah.
rather than needing several. And that was just done to the game at the time. I don't recall whether it's popular or not, but somebody asked for it recently, and I wouldn't be sorry to at least put it to the community.
If we ever have time to do a little Castle Wars or even minigame quality of life thing, talk
Yeah,
to the respective communities and see.
We
what
had
they
quite a lot actually for minigame week of the last qual month that we did. Well, that was last year now. No, this year. We did one.
February.
Well,
This year. Wait, what? It's not the end of the year yet. February. Yeah. Mate, I'm losing it. There was quite a lot in there,
That
but
was a heavy
I think the issue was that a lot of the changes, even though they look small, ended up being very significant in terms
They
of
are.
dev cost. But now that we have more of dedicated resource in the new structure, we probably get more changes like that out.
Sorry.
Well, I was going to say the one I described involving those little changes to the staircases was actually quite small.
Cool.
The beard thing that we wanted to do to Barbie Assault is not so small, I'm afraid.
Or it could just be like, sorry, you can't play Castle Wars unless you're smooth shaven. Saradomin doesn't let you in. Only he can have a mighty beard or some rubbish.
Well, the hood doesn't need to be there even if the cape stayed.
I was going to say, just remove the hood if the cape is enough to determine who's on what team.
That's true.
Not everyone actually agreed last time we brought up the topic of whether barrows and such like should be allowed in there.
I certainly think it's important to realise that when we did the Barbarian Assault stuff, the changes that we originally did as bug fixes, we definitely learned from that we will consult the main communities who are very good at that particular minigame. If we ever do other other changes and quality of life stuff, we'll make sure that we talk to those people first.
I think the unfortunate problem is that some of those communities are so set in ways that things that actually are issues, they're like, well, because we enjoy it, we're not actually going to report it. and
It's
things like
there's a lot of enjoying it. There's also a lot of making a lot of money from it as well. And every time you make a change, you impact how much money they can make per hour from boosting and offering services. So
Yeah.
Well, there's some stuff in Barbie Assault which is just plain buggy, and yet, like, you stall something and then the counter goes up all at once. We have chosen not to fix that for the moment because it would, well, completely ruin their ability to do what they do in that game. And we're just not seeing the win from it, other than that there'd be the satisfaction of knowing that they'd really had to do all these things the number of times the developer intended back in 2006, who isn't actually in this team to, care about it.
I don't necessarily mind things like that. I just wish they were, like, whenever we try and tackle these things, I try and do it in a way that it just makes it look better or easier for everyone else to do. So instead of equipping an item that adds a temporary P delay on the player, which is all that they're doing to stop the tick from going, could there be an item that's actually designed that the barbarians have to specifically hold back a wave or to do, like, we could actually do something to make it seem more fitting, as opposed to it being, and it makes it more approachable to players who aren't so experienced with the game as well. But anyway, sorry, I'll move on.
Especially some of the things with P delays on, people would like gone for entirely different reasons.
Yeah.
Like the fact that you try and equip an elemental shield and you're stalled for a tick. That's not convenient in a lot of places.
I'm going to answer some chat questions. We've got quite a few at Old School RS if you have any. Yes, friends.
Hey, could I quickly just say that the Halos, I believe there's a poll suggestion of them if people are still curious about them, so they will go to the poll at some point.
Oh, cool. All right, so the Bandos, Armadillo and Zaros ones.
Yeah, I can see why some people might not want them, because obviously it's Saradomin, Zamorak and Guthic. So
It's
it's
going to look
themed
so
around.
cool, though.
It would look nice.
That'd be an ecumenical question.
It would be.
Right.
Need a little drum kit like bum. That'd be great. Soundboard, get on it, John.
Chat questions. Are there any plan? Oh gosh. Okay, wait 1 second. Chat ones don't get filtered or retyped, so I have to read it before I say anything. Any updates about the collection log update?
Well, Lenny did post a tweet out the other day, but I think it was in response. But basically, he's done a lot of the work. If I get this wrong, Lenny, just put out a tweet and correct me. But
At JagXLenny.
yeah, a lot of the work has been done. However, We are currently blocked behind a tech issue, which is unfortunate, meaning that as soon as we can get time to alleviate that issue, then Marlene says there is not a lot of work left for him to do.
Cool.
It's getting the time to alleviate the tech issue behind the system.
Sorry, I'm going to quick fire through these because I feel bad that I haven't answered the chat questions and I asked for them so early on. Quality of life question, can we make the benefit from Amulet of Glory apply with or without it being charged when mining gem rocks? I would just say no to this, but that's just me.
It's not charged, it's not enchanted.
That's like
is it?
saying,
It
can we
gives it
have
the effect.
teleports without it being enchanted?
Yeah, no. How will Mod Ed kill off the sandwich lady in a new quest? Maz?
Depends how many more times Zuhar draws it.
And will there be a cutscene?
Hold on. You're worried about Neve and the sandwich lady. I know what's coming next. And
I think I've already...
let me tell you...
One of them's already been released recently, I think.
Yeah, that one came out, but the next one that's coming up...
Oh, what is it? You're going to spoiler it?
I'm not going to spoil it.
Okay.
It's not. It's no one in the team. Don't worry about that. It's another NPC.
I'd like some irony. If we were to ever kill the sandwich lady, I'd like a bit of like poetic irony. You know, like on Misery, where he burns the book that he's been forced to write for her, and he like starts putting it down her throat.
I haven't seen that either.
Like I'd get the baguette and...
So, funny fact.
Next question.
Next question.
H actually had a plan to do that for a quest.
He did actually.
To kill the sandwich lady.
Spoilers. Next question. Does Amelize work with one-dose potions?
Yes, it does, I believe. It depending on how many doses are in the potion you can add to it.
That's what I thought it did.
Cool. Did you guys remember to update the tutorial island with the friends/ignore list?
Yes.
Ha 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 ha! Well, the next... I did check on Whip. You left a comment. Was it you? Or was it
Yeah,
Alex?
I asked the
Was
text
you?
to be updated, yeah.
It's always great when... Yeah. Thanks, though, for reminding us, because we would have rushed upstairs and fixed that beforehand.
No, because it's already done.
But it's already... I said if. I said if. I had confidence in you. Will the Nexus be FPS friendly to play around House Alter Worlds? Will it be particularly laggy or will it make anything bad?
Because it's not gone into testing yet, we can't tell.
Okay, cool.
The good thing is that if you've got one of those babies in your house, you probably don't need about 5 rooms with separate animated, semi-transparent portals all waving around.
That's true.
So you, even if the Nexus itself isn't, completely cheap, you've got rid of all those other things that were also not completely cheap. So you should be all right. Also, having fewer rooms makes your house load faster.
I was somewhere
Depending on
else.
Layout. Sorry.
Sorry, Ash. The poly count's fine. It'll be all right.
Okay.
Cool.
Confident. Is there any way...
Elaborate a bit more on the thing about rooms and loading time.
Yeah, please do.
Thank you. The people occasionally ask how to avoid having their house take a long time to load, and it's not strictly about the number of rooms; it's about the layout of and how much space is spread over. So if you can keep your house into a tight little square, like 3x3, and not too many vertical levels, so just one level maybe, or one level on the floor below, that'll be one of the quickest ones. Whereas if you've got a great long house that's like 7 wide or 7 long or both, then that's going to take longer because it's about the floor space it occupies that determines how long you spend looking at the loading screen. And of course, extra vertical levels means extra time to load those. So having this Nexus room instead of lots of portal rooms, maybe you'll have a better house layout and you'll be able to get the ticks to load it down a bit. Again, it's not directly about the number of rooms, but try and keep the floor plan really small.
The fact that the portal rooms only had one entrance as well, and I think we did discuss earlier that the Nexus is going to have a door on all 4 sides.
4 sides, yeah.
Which means you can build your house more efficiently.
Cool. Oh, that's exciting. Question about what? That sounds sarcastic. It wasn't intended to sound...
No, I just laughed at one of the comments. Someone just said, duh, just remove the loading screen.
That would be...
Great, you'd have a black screen.
Well, we can take away the graphic. Unfortunately, the delay's there for a reason. I'm afraid we're stuck with it.
Sorry, can I just ask as well, does the Nexus allow you to actually leave your house as well?
It's a teleport
Yeah, it's a
feature
teleport.
for teleporting through.
So you can actually just go to any POH exit?
Yes, when we make the portals for the individual teleports, like Lumbridge or Varrock inside the house, it's essentially a way of getting rid of all those 5 rooms that you need to get all 15 portals and just have a singular entity to do that.
To which we can then add more destinations that people occasionally ask for. Academy's been coming up a lot lately, but places to which you can teleport on another spell book. If we started adding them to the old POH teleport portals, we'd be you'd end up having to get lots more rooms to have them all. Whereas with this Nexus, I believe Maz is writing it so you can have a lot more destinations without needing another kind of room for it.
We've got a thumbs
She's doing a thumbs up.
Thumbs
You'll
up.
have to take my word for it, though.
Sean asks, any chance that we can spend a large amount of gold nuggets, 500 to 1,000, to unlock a feature that notes the ore withdrawn from the Motherlode mine? Sack, slight XP buff, but mainly a convenience for those who fill their sack.
That notes it when you pull it from the sack.
Don't. Come on, guys.
I wasn't going to make a joke like that.
No, it was this one was giggling.
But instead of taking it from the sack, perhaps if you have an NPC near the sack, that when you talk to him, it searches for ores in your inventory and notes them, rather than perhaps taking a note. Taking a note from the sack just seems a little bit aesthetic.
It's every time you say the word sack,
I say the word sack.
chuckles a little bit.
Let's not draw attention to it this time.
It's a sack.
Pulling notes from a sack seems just
It just
completely
doesn't
odd.
seem like, why
But
would
if you had an NPC that would perhaps swap your ores for notes, that was
At which point, though, you might as well
Just
have
run to the bank.
Well, go on.
Yeah.
If you shove a leprechaun in the sack, maybe it can do the noting in.
Falling leprechaun, yeah.
It's a no from me.
It's Deborah Meaden. I'm out.
I'm out.
I'm out. Who's that new one? Who's who always says doesn't? She always pulls out really quickly.
Can we move on, please?
There's a new dragon.
I don't know. I don't watch TV.
Okay, the new UK. There's a new dragon, and she's always like, the joke is that like they go, and she goes, I'm out. Because like, she never, ever, God, it makes me angry. SNS asks, can Spin, Flax and Plank Make be updated to work similarly to String Amulet? One click to automatically do one by one, but keeping it faster if you did it manually.
That'd be nice.
Thoughts?
Spin Flax.
The spell.
Oh, the spell. I was thinking to myself of the wheel. I was like,
Oh yeah, the spell, sorry. So obviously Plank Make, you click and you click and you click and you click and you click, and their suggestion is click, click, and they'll go nice and slowly, or you can do it quicker manually. Just like how we usually...
Well, the fact that you've got string amulets, if the plank make and spin flax give more XP, then you might think about obviously increasing the delay a bit further than normal.
Yes.
But if amulets are already there and give more XP than the other two spells, I don't really see much harm.
If it's not making it faster than you can currently do, then it's not going to affect the XP rates for them. And they were mostly okay when we let things automatically go into a pestle and mortar or into compost bins. You can carry on doing it faster manually if you've got the inclination and the accuracy of your clicking. But for those who don't mind waiting, we do it more slowly at our speed. Did it POH altars, I think, with bones as well.
yeah.
Frankly, when it comes to those lunar spells, I would be glad if they worked in a more consistent way. I know this wouldn't achieve that, but I really wish they did.
Also, filling in, getting bone meal at the Ectofuncus is faster. Ectofunctus.
Punctus, I think you're
We know
right.
what
You're
you
right.
mean,
You're
yeah.
there.
That's faster if you do each action, click
Manually.
it manually rather than let it go automatically.
I've always just clicked it and then just gone to make a cup of tea because it takes so long.
It takes that long, yeah. The next question from Nacho. Thoughts on buffing underused / less useful Barrow's brother effects? Torag sucks. That's what they said.
I wouldn't mind seeing Barrows have like improved versions, but not changing the current Barrows. It would require a new drop that would be from somewhere else with a new piece of content that would tie in with Barrows.
Although doing it via the Amulet of the Damned isn't completely unreasonable.
Yeah,
that was roughly how it was introduced to be the thing you got from some other piece of content that buffed it.
I'm just trying to avoid, I guess, the whole someone's got 200,000 Torex hammers and they want it to be super strong, so they just made absolute bank. Whereas if you had another item, that's what would have the value rather than the hammers.
It's going to happen. It's a sad reality.
Yeah, I know,
You
but
that.
it's better fitting than just kind of like straight up buffing it. I guess personally, I'm just not a huge fan of doing those. I know we have in the past, and some of them have been, rightly so. Aaron's staff, I think, especially, was quite underwhelming, and it's added a really, really good amount of variety now. But I'd rather it just be like a reason as to why.
See, the rule is to talk about it so much on the Q&A and not do it specifically so that they end up going, oh, well, they're not going to do this. And then they never know when we're actually going to do it. And then we'll just we'll plop it in last minute before them know and they go, oh, damn it, I sold my 50,000 circles. Darn.
The next one we'll just bring the Barrow Sisters. And that can be like the upgraded version.
No, I just looked at Ash because whenever Barrows gets mentioned, he always mentions the same story about a different Barrows family member.
I have mentioned that before. I wasn't. Really?
I don't know. You're on
Oh, back in the day, one of our colleagues used to, whenever I said I'd like to do a Barrow's sister update, he'd reply he wanted to do a Barrow's dirty uncle, which is a Barrow's brother of your father, I suppose, or your mother or something, so that's within the theme.
Right.
I think he just wanted to say Barrow's dirty uncle on stream.
You just did twice.
I see why he enjoyed it now.
Okay, well, it's 6 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and say !RuneFest if you want more information on RuneFest, use the hashtags. If you want to see the schedule, we have a news post for that as well.
Yeah, I think that should have went live at 5.
Cool, so keep an eye out on that.
If not, blame Mod Gambit.
Cool.
I'm looking forward to seeing what notes he's kept during the stream for us to work on over the next few weeks. He might have written anything.
That's true. Let us know if you enjoyed seeing the stuff that we're releasing the day after the stream, at the start of the stream. I'd be interested in maybe doing that again if that's the case. And other than that, I'm going to say thanks for watching. Look forward to tomorrow's update. Some awesome stuff. Yeah?
Cool.
Anybody got anything to say?
Just to reiterate what I said at the start of the stream regarding the burning question in all of your minds at the moment in regards to the recent situation, we can't say anything. Anything that we can say will be shared out, and I'm trying to get an updated piece of information out to you ASAP. Maybe tomorrow, might be Friday. It depends when it gets approved for us to be able to say that I can say it without losing my job and not go to jail. Thanks.
Cool. Thanks for
On that
watching,
happy
guys.
note, goodbye.
Yeah, have a. Oh, but that is a happy note for the chat. They've always been telling you to get fired, so
Yeah.
this could be the moment.
I'm just going to YOLO it. Let's go. Going to roll. Hit send. Done.
He's not.
No, I'm definitely not.
Goodbye. Have a wonderful week.
See ya.